Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel. If you're new around here, if you're on YouTube, do be sure to drop a like and subscribe. Today it's unknown. Oh my, I can't speak today. Oh, it's been a long day. Oh, it's episode 4 of Unknowingly Madridistas. Quite a lot to talk about today. I've tried this video about 3 times, and every time I covered everything in previous episodes, and I'm like, I swear I've spoken about that before, or I just was like the 4th attempt. I've been trying for like a straight hour now. Please, can I get it right for once? It's like I'm not struggling with this at all. Right? I don't know why now more than ever I'm struggling with this. I have been doing this for like 4 weeks now. How am I struggling? My webcam's looking at me like I'm an absolute twat. I am. Right. Anyway, there is so much to talk about today. I know what I'm talking about today, and I've got it all right up in front of me. Youth Academy departures. That's one thing. I got that right from the start. Gonzalo and Palacios departing to Fulham. That's right. A whole situation with Diomande. Apparently, we haven't had his bid hasn't been accepted, but I wouldn't know. I haven't even been on Twitter for the past hours. So I don't know. Like, for all I know, he has accepted a deal. There's been an official statement about it, or whatever. There probably has. We're also set to make our first offer for Rodri. I thought we already did, but thank you for Romano for being really incompetent at your job. Feel free to comment on this. Why don't you? Vinicius to Arsenal. What is going on there? Asencio was injured for 6 weeks, and we've drawn 2-2 to Fiorentina. Congratulations. Let's just get straight out of the way with the youth departures. My light doesn't need to be on, but it is. Youth departures. There's only been 2. 3 if you count Palacios, but I'm talking about that in a minute. Jacobo Ortega has gone to Strasbourg for 8 million, and as you could guess, we still have his rights. He is not a free man, just as of yet. Same with Valdepenas, he's gone for Fiorentina. I think he did play today. I don't know. I was too frustrated with that second half. Like how what a 2 lead. Oh dear. But no, 2 youth academy departures, 2 players actually that were really important to the under-19 youth league win last season, the one that they won in April. Of course, Ortega's an actual goal threat, and I think he'd be great for Strasbourg actually. The league and so-called Farmers League. But he is capable of getting a couple of goals over there. Whether he's started against, does he start against what's his name, Piancelli? I've probably thought the Argentinian guy, the huge one that didn't go to the World Cup because he was injured. Or he plays as a backup, or he plays next to him. You get the idea. So he is capable of scoring goals, and I think he will get a couple of goals with Strasbourg. But also, it's important to notice Strasbourg are owned by Chelsea, so there is that possibility in a couple of years' time, if he does perform really well at Strasbourg in the next 2 to 3 years, Chelsea could go in for him big money, and we would get quite a bit of money back from that, because we like to retain the rights of every player that we sell, for some reason. But yeah, for Valdepenas, I think he'd be decent for Fiorentina. Fiorentina as well. Do they have Camuso, young Italian centre back? I know they've got Dragosine as well. So there is obviously a space for him to fit in there. It's, left foot, play left back as well. So that's the perks of being someone like Valdepenas. And I said to one of my friends actually, I think it was a toss-up between. It was literally a flip of the coin between Valdepenas or Aguado that leaves, and I don't know. That could be wrong. That could be right. I just think it now means one thing, and that is Aguado will stay, Would he go? Would he train with the first team? I don't know. Given how Joan Martinez and Mario Rivas played, they were good. They were good. I just don't know how you can bottle a 2-goal lead. That's not. I'm not blaming it on them though. They were fine. They're young. It's gonna happen, isn't it? Um, but no, I think with Valdepenas going, I think it just opens like anything can happen now. Obviously I've been saying it from the start of the series that I don't think we should be really looking at another centre back because the options are in the youth academy. There's 4 or 5 guys that you can pick from. You've got Fati, Lamini Fati, Mario Rivas, Joan Martinez, and Aguado that you can pick from. So that's that sorted really. So you don't really need another centre back. And when Rudiger leaves at the end of his contract, that's a great opportunity to get one of them in under a first team contract. So you know what Militao's like. He's a very injury prone player. So that's that. But yeah, a couple of academy departures. Interesting because obviously it looks like they've obviously been gaining some attention from the youth league win last season. But it's good to see that we're putting buyback clauses on them because at least we're recognising the talent they have. There's always a door open for them. It's like Phil Mitchell leaving EastEnders mutually. There's always that opportunity for him to come back. Do you not ask how I just found a way to bring in some sort of EastEnders and Phil Mitchell into a Real Madrid podcast, although it's not even a podcast. But just don't ask how I did that. But yeah, but it literally is like that though. It is like that. The door is always open for him to come back. And this kind of brings me to my point about Gonzalo Garcia and Palacios, who are both expected to join Fulham. Well, it's pretty much confirmed. It's just a matter of, I mean, it's probably been confirmed, right? I haven't been on Instagram or Twitter for the past hour, so I wouldn't know, would I? Gonzalo and Palacios to Fulham. I reckon that will be confirmed on Monday. They never really confirm it on like a Sunday, and they wouldn't confirm it this late on a Saturday. As I am doing this, it is 8 o'clock on Saturday, well, 10 to 9. It wouldn't be announced until Monday, I think. And as I say, I think the door is always open for them to come back, which shows that we recognise that who they are. And I think it's a risk actually just sending all out the academy. I mean, if we send Peter out as well to Fulham, I'd be raising an eyebrow saying, well, what if, hypothetically, what if Arbeloa doesn't perform at Fulham and he's sacked within 2 months? And then the next manager that comes in barely even plays any of them. That's the risk that comes with it. Or Arbeloa is one of the best managers we've ever seen. He puts Fulham into the Conference League in his first season. Gonzalo drops 20 goals in a season. Palacios getting about 10 assists. And Pitok doing absolute worldies. Then at that point, you'd be saying, well, Jesus Christ, let's just send the whole academy to Arbeloa. Have them, we'll take them back once you've succeeded with them. But, is that 50-50? Is Arbeloa going to perform? So I do hope he will perform. I am going to have a bit of a soft spot for Fulham now. I think I said that last week. But with the, former academy players, technically we still own them. Going to be sporting them on, like, I'm not going to spot, as I say, I'm not going to get season tickets to Craven Cottage or whatever. But, just wishing them the best of luck. As I say, I think it'll be confirmed on about Monday, but who knows. But yeah, Gonzalo and Palacios to Fulham. Peter possibly on the way as well. But I don't know, I don't really see that one happening, to be honest with you. It would be interesting, but I personally don't see it happening. It depends on Rodri, actually, who I'm going to come on to now. We were expected to send a bid. Well, we've been expected to send a bid. I think we already have. I don't know if we have. I don't know if we haven't. I really don't know. Apparently, Fabrizio Romano last week said we did. But now he is getting involved in arguments with a journalist. I think if we sign Rodri, then I think that does raise an eyebrow for Tchouaméni. I do think Tchouaméni would possibly leave if we sign Rodri, but the contract extension just means Tchouaméni will go for a lot more than initially planned, which could happen. It might not. Camavinga, he could also be one that leaves as well. I really don't know. It's the flip of a coin. I mean, I have a coin next to me. I'm not going to flip it, but I mean, I could. Okay, so Tchouaméni has Tchouaméni has heads. Camavinga has tails. Mourinho's probably in his office right now, although they're out in like Austria. He's probably got a nice euro in his hand right now. I'm about to flip a coin. Let's see what we get. Actually, I know you can't see it, but I can. You probably hit your. If I just. It's tails. I can't remember who got tails, but okay, whoever got tails is leaving. I think it was Camavinga. I don't really know. I can't remember. Anyway, whoever got tails is leaving. You know, that's probably. You know, I'm not saying that's not how Mourinho decides the transfers. You know, he doesn't sit there with a big screen in front of him that says Bastoni or Schlotterbeck, and he's like, "Give me a euro." Starts playing heads and tails with Sami Khedira. I don't think that happens. I mean, it might. I don't know. I mean, no one does. We wouldn't know. Why would we know? How would we know? But I think Rodri joining would mean that I think Germany would leave or Camavinga. And then that's where it comes to Pittock. Do you get rid of him or do you keep him? Because if you bring in Rodri and you keep Tchouaméni and Camavinga, then Pittock is definitely not staying. Because you think he's going to be, what, 8th choice midfielder? Because you got Camavinga, Tchouaméni, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, Valverde, Bellingham, Gula if you want to play him centrally. 7, but I probably missed the name there. Well, no, he would be 8th choice. Yeah, there you go. So he would be 8th choice. So not really ideal. You know, Danny Spies is probably licking his lips now that he's gone. He's a free agent, but he's meant to go to Ajax with everyone. So I don't really know about that, but you know, I think P-Target's future will be decided depending on Rodri, whether he comes in or he doesn't. It's weird with Rodri because I can't say to you that I don't see it happening, but then I can't say to you that I do see it happening. I'm 50-50 with Rodri. I really am. I think I can see him playing for us next season, but then at the same time I can't. It's really weird. Like if you like today, if you're asking today right now, I don't think he's going to join. But tomorrow, when I'm watching SummerSlam, you could ask me, "Do you think Rodri's going to join?" And I'd say, "Yeah, I think he will." And then come back to me on Monday. Do you think Rodri's going to join? No. Tuesday, do you think he's going to join? Yes. It's gonna. As I say, it's also a flip of a coin, right? So heads is no, tails is yes. Tails, there you go. Yes, okay. Really have to sign them up. But you get the idea. I think I'm on a knife edge with it. Really, I really am. It might happen. It might not. It really comes down to the bid whether if we say 50 million to Man City and Man City say no 65, and we just automatically walk away. Questionable decision making there. 65 million. I know he's getting on a bit, but for a proven winner, a Ballon d'Or winner, someone who's won it all in football, someone who knows the game, and an asset to our midfield, take it. Just take it. Unless they were saying like 120 million, then I'd be saying, yeah, up yours. Then they have it. And this kind of brings them to Yan Diomande as well, actually. Again, Fabrizio Romano, what are you playing at? Saying, oh, it will happen. I was fully expecting Monday morning to see an announcement from Real Madrid, Comunicado Oficial, to say Yan Diomande is joining 120 million or 130 million. You know, it's confirmed. But now David Ornstein a couple of days ago was saying there was no bid sent. There was the one that was rejected. So that was the slap bang 100 million, and apparently that was rejected. We know about that. Everyone knows about that. But I don't really know with this one. Again, if you were to ask me, do I see Yan Diomande playing for Real Madrid? I would say yes. I do think we will get it over the line. But it's more of why is some journalist saying yeah it's going to happen, but then the others are saying no it's not. Like there's no bid even in place, and then the other journalists like well yes there is. You know, it's like who do I believe? I don't know who to believe. But that's the situation with Yan Diomande at the minute. That no one knows what's happening. And I could have a look on Twitter and Instagram. I'm not going to at the minute because obviously I'm filming this. I don't want to. Because if I start scrolling, I'll get too carried away, and you know this video will be like I'll be scrolling for like an hour until I finally realise. But I do see Yan Diomande playing for us. That's the only way to put it. It's just these journalists need to really give their heads a good wobble and stop arguing. Like you're only journalists. It like who cares who gets there first? It really doesn't matter. You know. Like it's just, I think it's quite silly actually, but enough said about that. You know, they can keep arguing on Twitter. I'll keep watching that. But one of the other big bits of news is Vinicius Junior and whatever the hell's happening with him. We gave him a contract, and we said, look, you take it or you leave it. If you don't want it, you're gone. Goodbye. If you take it, shut up, get on. And and apparently now he's in contact with Arsenal. And again, it's hard to. I think the chances of him playing for Arsenal are actually quite high, but it's because of what. Like, if this was Endrick, I'd be saying yeah, he's going to play for Arsenal, but. It's Vinicius Junior. You think about the stuff he's done for the club. You know, scored in 2 Champions League finals, scored in the most finals in Real Madrid in the past couple of years. The player he is for Real Madrid, and I know people would be saying, "Well, like get in. He's finally leaving." I can't share that feeling. I can't forget that 2022 final when he scored against Liverpool. I can't forget that 2024 final when he scored against Dortmund to seal that 2-0 win. I can't forget the amount of times he scored against Barcelona in finals, but just against Barcelona in general. You know, the clutch goals that he's come up with. Ever since 24-25, he's been ever since that Ballon d'Or really. It's been a nightmare for him. It really has. And I think he's taken it to heart. And damn, I can see why. I do think he was robbed. Like if we were to sign Rodri, I wouldn't be saying, "Oh, Rodri definitely deserved it." I still back Vinicius on this one. It's like with Lewandowski in 2021. How did he not win that? Haaland in 2023, you know, and so many other more. But I think the amount of moments Vinicius has given us Real Madrid fans, but then we forget about that. Just because we remember everything from the 24-25 season up until last season, you know, we think about the problems he had with Xabi Alonso. I think there's 2 different perspectives actually, and I think that what's funny is they're both not wrong and they're both not right. Real Madrid saying this is your only offer, you know, this is it, this is all you have it. You get it from their perspective, you know, it's from a financial position. Can you really afford to do it? I mean, you probably can, but you don't want to, you know, Vinicius hasn't proven it in the past 2 seasons, hence why he's not getting that contract so far. But then if you're Vinicius Junior, you say, well, what about all the times before that? You know, then you say, well, what about your situation with Xabi Alonso? You know, we fired a manager for you. And that, so they're both kind of right, but they're both kind of wrong at the same time. And that's the problem. I think that's why there's no like settlement between the two. And it's quite sad actually, because if he were to be confirmed to go to Arsenal, I probably won't cry. I don't cry over transfers. Depends who actually. So what's happened? Benzema left. I didn't cry. I was supposed to have Bale left because he was my favourite. Bale was the one that really made me love football. I've never cried over a transfer, but I'd be really sad if Vinicius were to leave, because I think of the amount of moments he's given us Real Madrid fans. The laughing at my brother when Vinicius scored in the 2022 final against Liverpool, because my brother's a Liverpool fan. Same with my sister, because she was supporting Dortmund for the 2024 final. Laughing at her. It's and just the amount of times he scored against Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. The clutch goals. The 20-goal seasons that he's given, the world-class performances, the countless number of hat-tricks he's given the club, and whatever else more that he's given to the club. And I think to throw that all away is insane. And as I say, I would be very sad if if Monday morning it was to be confirmed that he would leave, 100%. So it's a tough one to call, really. Because as I say, I think they're both right and they're both wrong. It's just about who can. Are Real Madrid going to say, you know what, fine, you win, 30 million, have it? Or does Vinicius say, okay, I'll take 20 million? And you'd think if Vinicius really is destined to play for the club, then he'd take that. But I'm not saying because he's not taking it, he hates the club all of a sudden. Obviously you've got to think about it from his perspective. But if he's only doing it for the money, if he's just saying, I just want this extra bit of money, to secure my branding, my personal image, then that comes the problem. That's where it comes into the financial situation, which I'm not going to jump into, because I really, one, I don't know anything about that sort of side stuff. I'd probably be making up my own stuff just to make myself more happy, and I don't even know. I would start waffling. So Vinicius to Arsenal, I'd rather it not happen. If I had to pick Vinicius or Mbappe to go to Arsenal, I'd say Mbappe, purely because of what Vinicius has given us. And I think he has to really solidify that legacy rather than throwing it away. He has the potential to become a top 5 Real Madrid player of all time. And if he throws it away over a couple of million quid, it says a lot, really. Anyway, let's leave Vinicius where he is. Let's talk about Asencio and his injury. I'm pretty sure it was a minor. Was it in the minor? No, Thiago's got a knee injury. Asencio's got, I think it's a muscle injury in his leg or something. But he's out for 6 weeks. Nothing serious. If he were to get an offer, the injury wouldn't stop his transfer. Again, for Asencio, I think it's tough, because I think we're judging him for the period he came into the team, and when the team was obviously in an absolute mess. Because obviously he came in when we had Militao out with the ACL injury, and we just had no other centre back. I mean, who do we have that year? Nacho already left. I think it was only Rudiger, and I don't think we really had the centre backs that year. And obviously Alaba was injured as well, so we only had Alaba and Militao who were out with the ACL injuries, and obviously we only had Rudiger that was fit. And obviously Tchouameni was coming to play at centre back, and we just called Raul Asencio up. He was mistake prone. He was struggling, which I think everyone sort of expected to happen, because he's just come up from the academy. He's having to play against Barcelona, he's having to play against Atletico Madrid, and that. I don't think Raul Asencio done bad, I thought for last season we should have loaned him out. I don't know where, but I feel like he should have been loaned out. Purely because we had players. I mean, we'd had Militao coming back. We signed Hausen, Rudiger, Alaba. And obviously now that we've got Canate, that's just going to make it harder for him. Yes, I know Alaba's left, but Canate's not going to make it any. He's not going to get in over Canate. No way is it. And it's really sad because I think I look at the games that he's had, the Atletico Madrid games when he in his first season, same with the Man City games, that really great ball into Mbappe. That game that was probably one of his better games. This one his best game in a Real Madrid shirt. The one against Man City in the playoff, the second leg, when we beat them 3-1 in the Bernabeu. I thought he had one of his best games then, and I think if he gets that year out, Betis, Villarreal, if they came in for it, just somewhere local in Spain, so he kind of gets that experience, comes back when Rudiger's gone, and he can really fight as a number 3 centre back. Because he's played at right back a couple of times, and I didn't fancy him there. I do think there is so much potential behind Asencio. He loves the club. He there's nothing about him that just goes, he's here to play for money. He fights for the badge. If there's a massive fight against Barcelona, you just know he's going to come in and just beat the hell out of someone, literally. And that's the sort of energy we need. That sort of passion we need. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I don't know. Forte should come up from the academy and just absolutely wallop Anthony Gordon. If for whatever reason Forte was playing in El Clasico, but I'm not saying that Forte should just absolutely knock out Anthony Gordon or anyone really. But it's just throw yourself into a tackle. Fight for the club, fight for the badge, show why you're there, show what you've had to go through, and that's what Asencio has done. Yes, he's made mistakes, as I say. He's come up from the academy. This would be his third season with the first team. So again, I can see him leaving, but I think we need it to be a loan, just like Mastantuono. We need it to be a loan so that they can both sort of develop and get that vital experience, whether it's in Spain, whether it's somewhere else in Europe, just so they get that experience. Because Raul Asencio, if you can build him up, he is a perfect centre back. He could be a world-class centre back easily. Mastantuono, we haven't really seen the qualities of him fully. So I do think Mastantuono will go out on loan. I think he should, because even when he first came into the team, at the start of last season, when he was starting under Xabi Alonso, he just didn't really show off any promising signs that he was world class. He scored that one goal against Levante. He really wasn't that great, to be honest with you. Obviously, he had that game against Marseille. He scored in that. I just think it was a big risk bringing him in from River Plate with no European experience. I think that's what we should do. Loan him out to a fellow Spanish club or an Italian team if you must, or just anywhere in Europe where he can get some minutes in a European competition. Conference League, Europa League, a lower level Champions League team, so that he can sort of really merge in, understand the physicality. Asencio, it's different because obviously he's had now 2 seasons to do that, but he's always been, the 4th choice centre back, maybe even the 5th choice at times. First choice if there's an injury crisis. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised if Raul Asencio was to depart on a permanent with no option to buy back. But you know what we're like. I mean, we've done it with Fran Garcia. The door's open for him. The next thing I want to talk about is Carlos Espy from Levante coming in. What a signing that is to replace Gonzalo. It does make me question what Endrick's future is, which I will come on to just in a moment. But this is a great signing. I think it was like 11 goals in 13 last season, something like that. Really good record. As I say, I think like he's definitely that Joselu type striker that we need, and that we've kind of been waiting for. Someone who can come off the bench and hit you, really. You know, Getafe with Bordeas, really defensive team. If you can get the ball into Carlos Espy, he could be dangerous, and that's what Carlos Espy provides. And I think he's going to be a great signing. I'm not expecting him to drop 20 goals a season. 10 at the most, 10, 15 at the most. That's all I expect. I think this is a great sign. I think he's like 6'4" as well, which is amazing. You know, just that aerial threat. You know, he's someone that understands the leagues. Obviously, he played last season. I think he played season 4 as well. So if Mbappe's going, you know, for an injury crisis, or he's going for a goal drought, or he's simply not match fit, you can actually have trust in Carlos Espy coming in. Unlike what it was like for Gonzalo Garcia, you know, every time that we didn't play Mbappe when Endrick was out on loan, we were never keen on playing Gonzalo Garcia. It was really weird. So obviously, he showed that he could score goals against Real Betis, even Real Sociedad, Barcelona, etc. But we just never really trusted him. But I think with Carlos Espy, he can score goals, and he knows the league, so that's really helpful as well. But that brings on to the last point, which is pre-season and the game against Fiorentina, which ended 2-2. It was frustrating, but it was a really good first half. Actually, I thought we played really well in that first half. I thought Dumfries was promising. It was interesting to see Dumfries' position actually, because he was sort of more of like he wasn't a right winger. He was more of like a right midfielder, like a wing back, but we already had Trent playing wing back, so it's weird. You know what I mean? It's like the system he would play in Inter Milan, really. So that kind of helped. That kind of works for him. I thought he was decent. Obviously, he'd be better at right back, but I thought he was alright. Quite physical as well, which we definitely need. You know, he'd be great against Atletico Madrid. If we're not playing Trent, then you've got Dumfries. You know, for a Barcelona game, if you don't want to play Dumfries, you've got Trent. You know what I mean? That it's not like one of them's going to play 5 games a season. They're going to alternate like hell. And there's obviously, like today, there's an opportunity where they could both play, and it just gives one of them that freedom to attack, which they're both really good at doing, is attacking. But yeah, Dumfries is promising. We saw a brief glimpse of Carlos Espy, who I thought was right. You know, we got into the spaces. Unfortunately, not to score, but hey ho. We had that youth guy, Syria, I think his name is something like that. Syria, you know the one I'm on about. He scored a really good goal as well. Actually, it was a good ball in. I thought he was decent in the absence of a left winger. He done his job really. Could say the same about Endrick. I thought he was quite good as well. He got into the spaces really well. Obviously scored a really important goal. Not a bad goal either, actually. And this will bring me on to talking about Endrick. There is potential of him leaving. I'm really not sure, to be honest with you. I personally wouldn't do it, but when you've got Mbappe, SB, and Endrick, if you're Endrick, who performed quite well at Lyon on loan, and you just want to play, regular football, you'll probably be looking for a move away. And I can see it, unfortunately. I think we need a striker like SB, but I don't really, even at right wing, Endrick doesn't really get in, especially if Yan Diomande is signed. Because there's still Brahim, there's still Massantuono, even if he leaves, there's still Gula who can play on the right. You've got Rodrigo as well. So, with the attacking options that there are, I can see Endrick leaving. But, obviously, preseason's only going to go from the up here. Hopefully we'll have Hausen ready. Who's on next? Ferran Cavaros, isn't it? In a week. And then we have that Deportivo Mineiro in that final, the Herrera Cup final. And then we play Schalke. There's still quite a few games to go, actually. So, the system can change every now and then. Well, we're supposed to have Vinicius back soon. That's given he doesn't go to Arsenal. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the rest of the preseason games are like. I think it was quite frustrating that we let go of a 2-0 lead, but it's the first game of preseason. Unless we did this in every other game, then I'd be raising an eyebrow, but oh, you never know. Anyway, I'm going to call it a day. One of the longer episodes, but as I say, we had quite a bit to talk about. I think I've covered everything. I am just going to quickly check Twitter because I have just to make sure, you never know what's happening. Let's just have a quick look. Come on. Any important news that I've got to see? Like if Yan Diamande's gonna sign, then show me. Carlos Espy done a quick video after the game. Don't think there's like anything major. Not that I can see anyway. Well, here we go. Mourinho after the game said we played with two young centre backs with John Martinez and Mario Rivas, and they had a fantastic match. Agreed. But physically, they're not yet at the level to play against a beast like Moise Kean, who I think was really good actually. Really good actually, but it wasn't what Mourinho said. I'm just saying I thought Moise Kean was quite good. But yeah, he probably is right. They've got to get used to that physicality. But that's what that's the thing. That's why we don't need another centre back, because you can use that last centre back spot to use the academy players, and they can get used to the physicality. It's not rocket science. That's why for Sam Bastoni, I'm going to drink bleach. Not that I think he's a bad centre back at all, but because he says that the youth academy don't have the physicality, but then tomorrow he'll probably put a bid in for Bastoni, and then it's like, well, how are they going to learn the physicality? And then I'm going to, I'm getting angry with nothing. I'm not even getting angry, I'm just, there's a picture here of Mourinho staring at Camavinga and he's absolutely disgusted. I don't even know anymore. But no, I think I thought Dumfries had a good game, which was really important for him. Apparently, Mourinho wants a few more transfers to be done. If anything, it should only really be Rodri and Yan Diomande, and that's about it. No, I don't think there's anything about Anyone join in? No, I don't know. I don't think. No, there's nothing. Nothing that I can see that. Okay, right. So we're safe for now until tomorrow when it probably comes out that we're going to sign Bastoni or something, which we don't need. Which we do not need that. Another thing Mourinho said as well that he saw from some of the players with tired faces. They did look a bit tired, actually. That's like from the second half. I did think they were already tired, but yeah, I'm gonna call it. I need to end this video actually. It's like 40 minutes. I won't even. I'm not even gonna edit it much either because I've not sat there for like 2 minutes contemplating what I'm talking about. But anyway, I'm gonna bung them straight up on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.